So this is my 1979 Dodge D50 Sport. These trucks were originally 2.6 liter and 5-speed. Kind of a neat little truck, economy truck. I've had this truck about 7 years. I've been working on it off and on for about 5 years. Most of it was built right here in the garage. Did pretty much everything myself. When I acquired the truck, I had acquired it with the intention of building a hot rod out of it. And originally I was going to put a small block in it, and you see a lot of mini trucks around, small blocks in them, the S10s with small block Chevy. A few of these guys have run small block Chryslers in, but I decided I wanted to be a little bit different. So under the hood of mine, I have a 440 big block Chrysler. I wanted something that nobody else has on the street. So far, I've never seen another one on the street with a 440 in it. I'm sure there's probably a few out there. I've just never run across one. It's a little bit of a challenge to put it in there. Not too bad. I had to make my own motor mounts. Radiator core support had to come out so that I could push the radiator forward. As you can clearly see, I don't have a whole lot of clearance between my water pump pulley and the radiator. Fabricated out my own motor mounts. Don't know if you can see that down in there. The cross member underneath the transmission I had to fabricate. Took a little bit of material out of the tunnel in the firewall for the bell housing to clear. Mainly because I had to sit the motor up a little higher due to the location of the oil filter on the big blocks, which hindsight is always 20/20. If I would have been thinking about that in the beginning, I would have modified that cross member. I could have sat the engine down a little bit lower. But it is what it is. The engine's in there. I've put about 150 miles on the truck. I'm still playing with it, picking bugs out of it and everything else. The front suspension I completely rebuilt. Obviously with the weight of the big block in there, it was down on the snubbers, so my challenge was finding a coil spring the right diameter that would support the weight of the big block. I ended up getting coil springs out of a Land Rover. Made the front end a lot stiffer than what I wanted, but you know, it supports the weight of the big block. It's not like I'm driving this truck every day. It's just a little bit of a play toy. The interior, a little bit of a challenge. The dash was all busted up and everything. The frame of the dash is part of the cab, so it can't be removed. So I went in with some material, a little bit of fiberglass, some body filler, and came up with this. I'm not a professional body man, but I like the way it came out. It looks all right. It's kind of a little bit different. The seats got at my local salvage yard. They came out of a Chrysler PT Cruiser. Fit in there pretty good, pretty comfortable. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do about door panels because, again, it's a part for the interior that I can't find anywhere. As far as the rear end under the truck, it still has the stock Mitsubishi rear end in it. Some people say it's not going to take it. My father has put several V8s in several of the Mitsubishi cars over the years, and they take a lot more than most guys think they will. Not really too concerned about it. I do wish it was pause traction. When I first put the truck on the road, I had little bitty tires on the back like I do on the front. Traction was a extreme issue, so I bought some of the Nitto Extreme Drag radials, and even without pause traction, it seems to hook up okay. I haven't really had much of a traction issue. As far as the exhaust and stuff, that was a little bit of a challenge. I had to take the exhaust, come off of the header, and come forward because I didn't have enough room to go down below. It runs down towards the transmission. Once it gets back by the transmission pan, I was able to come back up and over the cross member. The exhaust, I just bought a kit of a bunch of different pieces and did a lot of cutting and a lot of welding until I got it set up the way I wanted it to. It's kind of an interesting truck. It's been an interesting build, and of course it's never done. They never are when you start building things like this. But again, I kind of wanted something that nobody else around has. I did see on the internet about a year ago, a guy was asking what's the biggest engine that you could put in a D50, and every response that I read below his question was, well, I know a guy that's got one with a 318. I know a guy that's got one with a 360. A few guys had them with 340s in them, and I decided I was going to put the big block in it. Obviously, I had decided that before I read that question, but it can be done. It just depends on how much creativity you have. And again, I built this entire truck in my garage. I did some of the mock-up for motor mounts and stuff at the local repair shop where I work, but everything else was done right here on the floor in my garage. It's definitely been an interesting process. Fun little truck to drive, catches a lot of attention, especially when I open the hood. Nobody ever expects to see a big block under the hood of one of these. The mufflers that came with the exhaust kit were a little bit louder than what I was hoping for, but again, it's not a daily driver. It's just a little play toy. I kind of think the sound fits the appearance of the vehicle, to be perfectly honest. So anyway, this is what we've ended up with so far. 1979 Dodge D50 Sport with a 440 big block Chrysler under the hood.